Hey everyone, Monique with Seymour Duncan here, and today I have the pleasure of interviewing one of my mentors and friends, Geoff Luttrell of Sonoma County Guitarworks. Hey Geoff, how you doing?
I am doing great this morning, Monique.
Could you tell us a little bit more about Sonoma County Guitarworks and the type of repairs that you guys do?
So I started my shop, San Francisco Guitarworks, in 2001 in San Francisco, and after expanding and growing and moving to Petaluma, I started my shop here in Petaluma, Sonoma County Guitarworks, 8 years ago. So our shop is equipped to do everything from a simple output jack replacement all the way up to a full Martin restoration, vintage work, ton of fret work, refrets, fret levels. I mean, we do everything a shop does. A couple of things that I think are unique about what we do are we teach classes. We teach setup workshops, electronics repair workshops, and we do a custom guitar building workshop, which I don't think anyone else is doing anything quite like it. The customers come in, they spec out their entire guitar, we get all the parts made for them, everything shows up at the shop, I plec the frets and make a bone nut. Then they come in and they learn how to wire the guitar, they learn how to do all the setup work and all the assembly. So they basically spec out their own custom parts caster, and then they come in and learn how to build it. And we use a lot of Seymour Duncans in that workshop. Well, the way that I got into luthiery is a very long road, but I started working on my own instruments whenever I was a kid. You know, I was 14, I was listening to Jaco Pastorius. I took all the frets out of my bass and I put wood putty in, and it played like crap and it was complete garbage. But, you know, I've always been a tinkerer. I've been a machinist, ASE certified master tech, I'm a certified pipe welder, you know, lots of high skill trade work before I got into guitar repair. But I decided in 2000 to go to luthiery school, just start my own shop. I'd been working on my own instruments, been playing in a band. I got laid off from a tech job and thought, I'm just not going to go back and interview at another job ever again. So I went to a school in Canada and I built all my tooling for my shop and came back and started the shop in San Francisco. Well, when a customer comes in and asks me how they can improve their tone of their guitar, or they have a specific thing about their tone that they don't like, the first thing I'm going to ask them, are they fundamentally upset with the tone? You know, they might have a guitar where they generally like the tone, but maybe there's a little too much top end, or maybe the bass is a little bit weak. And so in those cases, we might try a different value pot, different volume pot, or try a different tone cap, or do something that keeps the original pickups, but will tweak the tone a little bit by, you know, external components. If the customer comes in and they have a guitar they just don't like, maybe they have a telly with single coils and they want to play metal, you know, and they ask me, so what can I do? What can I put in this guitar to achieve a more, you know, a thicker tone or a better rock tone? And then I might lead them to something like, you know, a rail set for a telly. But if the customer is fundamentally unhappy with the tone, then definitely we're going to go with a new set of pickups. But I'm going to ask questions, you know, what kind of music do you play? What artists do you like? What kind of amp do you use? Are you playing with a band, or are you just recording straight into a computer? You know, these are a lot of factors that influence the type of pickup recommendation that I'm going to make. I am really loving the antiquities right now. There's a lot of super solid pickups, you know, from the Slash, the Pearly Gates, 59. I mean, there's many pickups, but right now the antiquities are just, they're so good. Without fail, as soon as somebody gets their guitar wired up and plugs it in and starts playing, everybody stops and looks and says, what are those pickups? Because they just sound so good. I mean, they really capture that traditional Strat tone that everybody wants to get. So lots of good ones, but I think the antiquities, they're as good as anything out there. We have a lot of interesting projects in the shop all the time. I think a project that's pretty representative of what we do is this Stratocaster right here. It's a Japanese Stratocaster. You know, a lot of people would say nothing special, but this is very important to our client. And we put in a set of Duncans, just coincidentally, hot rails and 2 Alnicos for the pickups. But this came with the Japanese Fender tremolo, and we have routed it for a Floyd Rose, and we've installed a Floyd Rose nut. We cut a nut shelf on the plec for the new nut, and we plecked the frets, and we've done a little bit of reconfiguring on the electronics. But you know, this is a guitar, like I said, a lot of people would think, it's just, you know, it's just a Japanese Strat from the 90s. But you know, guitar is really important to this guy, and he just wanted it refurbished, didn't want to buy a brand new guitar. So we talked about options, wanted a different tone, wanted to be able to have a little bit more tremolo use. So we landed on a Floyd, and a new set of Duncans. So this thing is going to be tip-top when he gets it back, and he'll be able to play it for another 25 years and really love it. Well, the future of luthiery is going to look a lot like the present of luthiery and the past of luthiery, because this is a craft that will never be outsourced. It will never be on Amazon Prime. It will never be done by a machine. I mean, we have the Plek, which is great for fretwork, but as far as somebody bringing in a guitar with a bridge that's lifting and you've got to make a new bridge for it and glue that on, and then it needs a neck reset. I mean, this stuff will always be done by skilled craftspeople. So it's really not going to look much different. I mean, we have to, as a repair shop, we have to adapt to the times. We've got to have an Instagram page and, Facebook, and we have to, maintain a social media presence. And there's other aspects, but when it really comes right down to it, I'm not doing anything that's any different than what Torres was doing, or Hauser, or what Dan Earlywine was starting to do in the early 70s, or any of this. It's still chisels and wood and clamps and glue and a skilled hand and a skilled eye, and that's what it's always going to be. But I've found in teaching our guitar repair classes, whether it's our setup workshop or electronics workshop, knowing a little bit about your instrument and how it works, how the setup functions, how action height changes the way the guitar plays, maybe how to intonate your guitar, will really give you a better sense of what your instrument can do, and it will also help you to identify areas where maybe your instrument is getting in the way of your playing. We have a lot of customers who come in and my volume pot is crackling, but we look at the setup and it's terrible, and we say, wow, we could lower your action, we can do all this stuff, and they just had no idea. So learning a little bit more about guitar setup will benefit any player, and then, secondarily, just keep your guitar clean, change your strings often, wear earplugs.